Morning, everybody, and welcome to our first speaker, Dr. Gideon Orbach from the Weiner Wellness Center. He's going to be talking to you about your workstation for better posture and breathing. He is an amazing chiropractor and just a wonderful clinician. So welcome, Dr. Orbach. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm ready to learn.
Thanks for that warm introduction, Tracy. And before we roll with the matter in hand, I got to say that this is my first presentation that I've made in our our World of Wellness studio. And a few of our staff members who have multitasking and multiple modality skills have put this together. So before anything, kudos to Jeffrey Nisnik. Kudos. We hired a new Phil. Dr. Phil. And just like that, Phil, front desk IT guru, became old Phil. So kudos old Phil, and kudos Jeffrey. You guys both did a fantastic job of getting this place set up, and I'm just sort of getting myself oriented to it, and it's kind of exciting.
Well, anyhow, I have to say, from this side, I mean, the mic sounds great. You guys look great. So it's really kind of amplified your presentation. And at Nutritional Frontiers, we have two Joes. So we have new Joe, who works in the warehouse because he was newer than Joe Messino. So if he's new Joe, I guess that makes Joe Messino
Senior Joe.
Senior Joe. Oh my, it gets worse. So, all right. So we got Phil and new Phil. All right. So
Exactly.
I'm going to back out. You have a great presentation.
Thank you.
Take it away.
All right. First of all, everybody, good morning. Thanks for tuning in with me and for indulging me. I really enjoy these presentations. I enjoy our wellness weeks and getting a chance to interact with the crowd and to communicate my ideas and listen to other people's ideas. And I come here to teach, but I also come here to learn. So if you have anything that you want to comment about or ask, I mean, there's a chat box. We've had a good orientation as to how that works. So feel free to roll along with me. My name's Gideon Orbach. I've been practicing chiropractic for close to 20 years now at this point. And the last 14 of which almost have been here. We started off as a pain release center on the south side of Pittsburgh. It was this very small building that absolutely oozed character. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. We don't have to dwell on it. Then we moved to this Green Tree location where we were renamed as the Weiner Wellness Center. And only within the last 3 months, our practice was taken over by Jamie Dorley and his team. Now we're the World of Wellness, and I think it's very fair to say that every name change we've had has reflected some growth and some evolution of what it is that we're doing and how we're adding new mechanisms to go about doing what we do, but never to compromise the integrity and never to compromise the mission, and to make sure that we are top flight, top class, first class, all of those possible accolades that a group would aspire to. So my own practice is about hands-on chiropractic. I do a combination of muscle release therapy to the spine, to the extremities. I use assisted stretching technique. I make chiropractic adjustments to the spine and to the extremities. I do a little bit of condition-specific nutrition. If we're talking about what kind of nutrients somebody might want to take in order to help release their muscle spasms, to lubricate their joints, to enhance their brain-body communication, I'm your guy. If you want to talk about more comprehensive nutritional issues and organic and visceral conditions, I'm very lucky to work with people like Jeffrey Nisnik, who I mentioned a moment ago, Ashley Rozzi, and of course, Dr. Honigman. They are superior nutritionists, naturopaths, lifestyle nutrition, dietary-based chiropractors. So we all know what we're doing here. We all have our pretty much well-defined roles, and we work well together. And I think that's our greatest strength, is how we share our patients, and we make sure that everybody gets to the right practitioner who's going to be able to help them the most with that specific moment in time. So as I mentioned, I do hands-on chiropractic. I twist people and pop people, and I stick a thumb and occasionally an elbow into tender spots. Yesterday, I had a patient scream so loud she was heard in the back. It was a badge of honor for me. When she was done screaming, she said, "I think my headache disappeared." That's what we do. So anyhow, why would anybody want to do that? Well, the purpose is to increase ranges of motion, which in turn helps to decrease pain phenomenon. generally help people feel more comfortable in their bodies. And most importantly, we're going to improve the brain-body communication, brain-body awareness. So before we talk about any kind of workstation and home setups, we got to talk about two larger issues to be able to put everything in possible context. First of all, what is health? What does it mean to be healthy? Now, when I did these presentations live, well, this is live. When I did it live in front of an audience, I like it to be interactive. And this is kind of my invitation to allow people to join in and to participate and to be heard. So if you have a definition of health, I'd like to invite you to type it into the chat box. Maybe we can even kick around some other people's ideas. But for the time being, I'm going to tell you my definition of health. To be healthy means that you have the ability to recognize, interact with, adapt to, and overcome your environment, both internally and externally. So our internal environment, what is that? That's our neurochemistry. That's the way our brain and our bodies communicate with each other. So if you think back to a few moments ago when I talked about why do I do chiropractic adjustments, what benefit is that to a patient? Why would you want to be a chiropractic patient and have somebody like me put a thumb in one of your trigger points and make it really tender until it releases? Why would you want me to make a skeletal adjustment to the joints of your spine or to your knees or to your hips or even your ankles? Well, what we're doing here is we're influencing the way specific parts of the body begin to stop acting as individual components and communicate with the brain, improving that brain-body communication, and act as your body is going to begin to act more as a single functional unit. So when your brain and your body are talking to each other more efficiently and more effectively, what's going to happen is your internal environment is going to improve. So I know that people have said in the past, when I get adjusted, I feel like my heartbeat regulates or my blood pressure comes down or my digestive system starts to function more optimally, or I feel like my immune system becomes stronger. And that's all real. That's very, very real. That's what happens. Now, I certainly don't want to be the guy who advertises, come get adjusted as a cure for high blood pressure, because that's not what happens. What happens is your brain and your body start to communicate with each other, and you have a global, systemic, more efficient experience. When we talk about our internal environment, we're talking about how do the nutritional supplements affect us? How does what we eat affect us? How is our digestion occurring? How are all the nerves in our digestive tract and our gut and our brain communicating with each other? This is our internal environment, and having regular or interval chiropractic adjustments is certainly one of the pieces of the puzzle that makes all of that more effective. Our external environment. Well, right now, I'm a big part of your external environment if you're paying attention. What's going on around you? Is there danger that you have to go and escape from? Is there something exciting going on up the road that you want to stop and see? Are you able to drive your car down the highway and merge in and out of traffic and change lanes without being a threat to yourself or to anybody else on the road traveling at a high speed? That's part of your body's ability to cope, to recognize, interact with, adapt to, and eventually overcome your external environment. So here's a shameless plug. I'm drinking the green drink. I'm drinking the super mean lean greens that Nutritional Frontiers puts out. Highly antioxidant, quite flavorful, and it's helps to keep your mouth from getting dry when you're talking. So we have our internal and external environment that we're really dependent on how our brains and our bodies are communicating with each other so that we're able to adapt to those scenarios. Okay, since I don't see any comments, questions, or even moral outrages or requests for clarification in the chat box, I'll just keep rolling. Big concept number 2, posture. your posture is how you present yourself to the world. It's when you walk into the room, if you're standing up straight and a bunch of strangers look up at you, are they going to look at you as, hey, this is a formidable person. This person seems to be pretty assured of themselves. I'm eager to hear what they have to say. Or are they going to look at you and be dismissive? Well, your posture plays, the way you carry yourself plays a big role in that. So we certainly want to make sure that our posture would indicate that we're standing as tall as we can and that we're taking up space, and that we carry ourselves with a certain level of, I like myself. I like myself enough to make a good presentation. But there's more to it than that. Good posture also will allow you to breathe much deeper and fuller and get more of that delicious oxygen into your lungs to be able to circulate throughout your body. With all due respect to the wonderful superior nutritionists out there, the ones who practice here at the World of Wellness, the ones who are truly, truly nutritionists, but take time out of their busy day to moderate our presentations and make sure that our messages come across from remote areas like Tyrone, Pennsylvania. With all due respect to the people who stock the shelves at our nutrition store, the most important nutrient that you're going to get is oxygen. You absolutely have to get enough oxygen into your body to make your metabolic pumps fuel and to make them as efficient as possible. And you can't starve yourself from oxygen. Now, when we think about our oxygen, to illustrate this point, if we're all going to protest something, and some of us go on a hunger strike, and some of us are going to go on a thirst strike, and some of us are just going to hold our breath until we get our way, I'm going to suggest to you that the people who are holding the breaths and depriving themselves of oxygen are going to be the first to fold. It's more green drink time while you guys ponder that for a second. So let's try a little bit of an exercise here. And let's sit up straight and tall in the best posture that we can pull ourselves into. And what we're going to do is we're going to think about a section of our body. Can't see it on camera, and I'm afraid that if I stand up that I'll lose my own position in space here. But think about where your belt buckle would be as you're sitting. And then think about, so belt buckle area is going to be just below where my tie hangs down to. And the second spot that I want you to think about is going to be right at the bottom, the middle of your rib cage, your sternum. We're going to travel down to the bottom of our sternum to that very usually tender cartilaginous point called your xiphoid process. So I have an area on my body that's bottom of the thigh to my xiphoid process. And I'm going to make myself as tall and as long as possible in that area as I sit. And what I want you to do is throw your shoulders back. So what's going to happen is our torsos are straight up and tall. Our shoulders are not squeezed behind our back, but so much as I'm taking my shoulder blades in my back, my wing bones, and I'm trying to touch my belt with them. So I'm forcing them down, which lifts my chest ever so slightly up. Okay, so we're just going to sit there in this position for a moment or two. And what you should feel is light. Because as you sit here in this position, your torso, the weight of your torso is going to be more evenly distributed between the muscles, the connective tissue, and the skeleton involved, rather than putting all of that weight or a disproportionate amount of weight onto a specific spot or a specific piece of anatomy, which might not be designed to hold it. So we're just sitting here. Now, if we were live in front of an audience, this is the point where I would be picking on people and asking them what they feel and to give their individual feedback. So once again, if you're listening in and you want to type in a comments, moral outrages or questions in the chat box, feel free. We'll address them. But anyhow, we're just going to keep rolling. So anyhow, we're sitting here in this great upright posture. And the first thing that I have to mention about this is your body is basically an antenna. Your body is transmitting information about where you are in space. We're back to that external environment. If you think about all the neurological feedback that comes from muscles, joints, connective tissue, the nervous tissue in between, we're literally bombarding our brains with information at this moment in time, at every moment in time, actually. And the authors, Furman and Gallo, in their book, The Neurophysics of Human Behavior, they determined, or they found, that the human brain is processing 3 trillion bits of information per given second. 3 trillion bits of information in any given second. So much of that information is coming from environmental stimulus that our muscles, our connective tissue, our nervous system, our skeleton are all picking up and transmitting to the brain. Of those 3 trillion bits of information, only about 50 of them are conscious, the stuff that we're aware of. So the better your posture, the more efficient that environmental stimulus is going to enter into your body, be absorbed, and be transmitted through the nervous system for your brain to assimilate. So that's going to be big reason number one why posture is so critically important. Big reason number two, let's get back to that oxygen and that deep breathing. What I want everybody to do is, while we're maintaining this long in the torso, shoulders back, while we're maintaining this posture and this position that we're in, I want everybody to take a big deep breath in through their nose. And I want you to hold that that deep breath in, allowing your lung fields to expand. And I want you to make sure that as you're deep breathing, you're not shrugging your shoulders up, but they're still in that back position. So we're still holding our deep breath, and now let's blow it out through our mouths. Again, I want you to deep breathe in, to inhale through your noses, and I want you to feel your lungs expanding, feel your whole torso expanding and opening like a balloon without lifting up. We are not lifting up. Instead, we're coming out big this way as we fill ourselves up with that delicious oxygen. So we're inhaling. And whenever you feel ready, why don't you go ahead and blow the air out through your mouths. All right. Before I go on, I gotta thank one particular audience member who's typed in a couple of comments, who's given me a very, very nice compliment. Probably the best visual description of good posture I've ever seen. Super easy to understand what stand up straight really means. So I want to highlight, I mean, I'm not sure where HIPAA begins and ends, so I'm not mentioning names, but you know who you are. I want to thank you not only for participating, but actually taking the time to say something nice and comment about what we're talking about here. And I want to make sure that everybody else understands that you're welcome to comment. I can see the messages on the chat board. I can address any questions that you might have. Occasionally, I even let people sidetrack me. So just because we're not in face-to-face contact downstairs in the living room doesn't mean we're not working together here. You're all invited to participate. But now we're going to do something wrong. We're going to illustrate a contrast. We're going to break our good posture and imagine that you're working into your computer, or maybe you're driving, or maybe you're eating, and you're in this forward-leaning posture. While we're here, I want everybody to take the deepest deep breath that they possibly can in this position. So once again, we're in through our nose, and we're holding, and holding some more. And let's blow out. One more time. Big deep breath in through your nose. Hold some more, hold again, and blow out through your mouths. Okay, let's do a little bit of compare and contrast. Once again, long in the torso, sitting up straight, big deep breath in through your nose. Everything is expanding. and blow out. I know that my experience is such that I can only breathe in a fraction of the amount of air as I slouch and I slump, in contrast to how much oxygen I can consume while I sit up straight and tall. Everybody with me? Will everybody be on board with me when I tell you that at the very least, at the barest possible minimum, good posture is essential to be as an efficient deep breather as possible? So far, so good? Okay. So anyhow, as I mentioned, this is a chiropractic clinic in addition to a state-of-the-art nutrition store. I see patients for a variety of a lot of different conditions, and I should add, I was talking with Tracy. I don't know if we were live or at the very beginning, or if we were just kind of behind the scenes talking. We just hired a new chiropractor, Phil Ross. He's also a neuromusculoskeletal chiropractor like myself. Yesterday was his first day with us. It's definitely not his first day in practice. He's got some very good skill sets. He does things that I don't do, which is exactly why he was hired, that all roads lead to good health, wellness, feeling comfortable in your body. Not every pathway is for every patient. So now we have Dr. Phil, who's here to join the team and make a good impression and do good work. But the reason I bring this up is we're a chiropractic clinic in addition to being a state-of-the-art nutrition store. And we see a variety of conditions. One of the most common conditions that I see, and I speculate that Dr. Phil has seen in his original practice that he was with up until now, we see a lot of patients with headaches. So what are all the reasons why somebody would get a headache? There are a lot. There are too many to list on an 8.5 by 11 if we draw it all out. But one of the big ones is tight musculature in the back of the neck, along the paravertebral muscles, the sides of the spine. And those muscles, they tighten, they restrict circulation, the oxygen travels by blood. So if you have tight musculature, you can't get your blood into your skull, into your brain the way your body demands. The oxygen piggybacks through the blood like all the other nutrients to get to its destination. The blood is like the taxi cab or the shuttle. We're depriving our brain of oxygen. We start to get a headache. So we got a checklist of all sorts of things that we want to look for with these people and how we can help them correct their problems. One of the big ones, once we get away from the hands-on chiropractic care, the muscle release techniques, the adjusting and mobilization of their spine for the neurological stimulus, we got to make sure these people know how to do good posture and deep breathing. Another big condition that we see all the time. I think hardly a day goes by that we don't see somebody with a condition called a hiatal hernia. A hiatal hernia means that the stomach itself has elevated and it's pierced into a muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter, possibly even as high up as piercing into the diaphragm muscle. And what does that do? That creates heartburn, acid reflux. It causes people to have fatigued or raspy or even a frog quality to their voice. It allows acid to pool into the mouth, creating tooth decay, creating a metallic taste. It makes the body more hospitable to having a candida infestation. All that goes hand in hand. So why would the stomach drift up in the first place? Why would the stomach get caught in the lower esophageal sphincter? Why would it get caught in the diaphragm? Why would all these things occur? What's the cause? Well, first of all, we're going to talk about a competition for space. If I sit in such a way that I'm slumped or slouched down and I'm bringing my chest toward my belt, I'm making the space in my abdomen smaller. Now I am literally pushing my stomach into a position that it should not occupy. I'm compressing all of these digestive organs, creating an inflammatory response in my digestive tract. So as your posture improves, as you make yourself long in the torso, as we talked about a few minutes ago, as I stretch this up and throw my shoulders back, I'm literally going to create space into my abdomen, and I'm literally going to help prevent that hiatal hernia from either occurring, or I'm going to help repair it by standing in good posture. So I hope we can all agree how important the posture is and all the systemic benefits. And I hope we all have a grasp of the importance of deep breathing and ways to become more efficient and to turn ourselves into better breathers. So the original title of this class, or this workshop, I should say, deals with creating a better workstation or being more efficient in the workstation that you have at home, where the landscape of work has changed. So many people have been reassigned to their desk at home from their desk at the office. And that puts a lot of pressure on the workers to learn how to recreate a social life, a social environment that exists in the workplace that doesn't exist for a solo person at home. Pressure to build a workstation that's appropriate for their own personal physiology and their own biomechanics in order to be able to work comfortably and efficiently all day long. And this is no easy chore. So I have a collection of ideas and tips that come from partially from the study of biomechanics and the study of ergonomics, and partially from some suggestions from patients that I've seen who are doing unique things and who have brought up some good points as to how they've turned their workstations into more comfortable places. And we're going to go over that in just a minute. One more shameless plug for the green drink. Alkalinizing, antioxidant, apple cinnamon flavor, and it keeps your mouth from getting dry when you talk too much. Okay, so let's do this. Let's all sit up straight and tall in that long in the torso, shoulders back position. And let's just try our best to chill out in that position for as long as possible while going through my list here. So ergonomics, it's the study of efficiency in the workplace. And once again, I take that to mean, how do I set up a workstation in my home to give me a chance to have the best advantage of sitting up straight and tall, breathing deeply, being comfortable, and being efficient all day. Now, depending on how you sit, 40 to 90% more load, more weight, more work responsibility is applied to your spinal discs. So if you consider the economy of back pain, I don't know how many, I would venture to guess hundreds of billions of dollars a year are spent on back pain treatments, medication, surgery, probably in many cases, unnecessary surgeries, long drawn out courses of physical therapy, loss of productivity. Back pain in and of itself is an economy of its own. So if we're just in the act of sitting and we're loading up our discs with an extra 40 to 90% of the workload that they should be handling, we're creating problems. So when we sit, the way the spine is situated and the where the discs live relative to the front or the back of the spine and how we bear our weight, once again, I would prefer to be standing than sitting. But if I have to sit, I want to make sure that we're in good posture, as we've been talking about and highlighting and mentioning several times throughout the workshop. And what that's going to do is it's going to load your weight a little bit closer to the back of your body and into the musculature that runs along the course of the spine on the outsides of the spine, the paravertebral muscles, and a little bit more into the musculature on your hips, rather than sitting forward where we're literally putting all that pressure onto our discs. So if we're sitting, let's go with best available. And best available, of course, sitting up straight, weights back, torso's up, torso's long. So we're sitting in a comfortable place, and we talked about avoiding that slouching position to prevent competition for space for the for prevention of the hiatal hernia. And the first thing I want to do is look for a standing desk. Hopefully, my company will have a budget for the work at home people that say, hey, you're productive, you're doing a good job, we're going to help you. We're going to help you design. Okay, a question just popped up. Can you recommend a good exercise to help reposition my head above and between my shoulders and not jutting forward before them? And the answer is yes, I can recommend that exercise. And you're one step ahead of me. We're actually more than one step ahead of me because it's on my checklist of bullet points for all of my my tips. Thank you for being involved and for asking that question, and obviously paying such close attention to what I'm getting at here. So we're looking for a standing desk, and the second best thing we want to ask for is a good ergonomic chair. If you work for a company that will have a budget for you, you just don't know what you can get until you ask for it. So I would encourage all work at home people who have employers, work at home desks, back support, good ergonomic chair. Can you help me out? Can you fit it into my budget? If you are sitting, we want to think about the 90-90-90 rule. And that is, I'm going to use my hands to illustrate for my feet. So my ankles are my feet are going to be flat on the floor, and this is going to be my ankle. So I want to be 90 degrees between the way my foot and my shin work with each other. I want to have another 90 degrees between my shin, my tibia bone, and my femur, my thigh. So my knees are bent to 90 degrees. My feet are flat on the floor. So those are my first two 90s. My torso is going to be at a 90-degree angle relative to my thighs. And then I'm going to have my elbows at 90 degrees, resting on my table with my fingers on my keypad as I'm typing away. So sitting at that 90-90-90 rule helps to redisperse your weight in once again into that good posture, highly advantageous program. And that's going to force you to move your computer monitor to such a height where the computer is just ever so slightly above your eyes. So I want to be looking straight at my computer and just slightly up. And this is not, we're going to get into the exercise that we talked about in just a split second that somebody had asked. Once again, exercise to prevent head from leaning too far forward out in space. But we want to use that head position as a gauge as to the height of the computer monitor and where it should be. Ever so slightly above eye level, maybe at eye level on the lowest. Now I'm going to turn. This is how you keep your head, you retrain your head to be back over your shoulders. So I'm going to turn 90 degrees, I hope. So I hope that everybody watching can see my profile. Are we good? All right. So I want to imagine that I have railroad tracks coming out of my chin, and my railroad tracks are going to be parallel to the ground. What I want to do is I want to slide, or I want to retract my head as far back on my railroad tracks as possible. So I'm not yet looking up, but my head is in a neutral position, and I'm sliding backwards. And you can see that I have a double, triple, maybe even a quadruple chin, and I feel a pinching right over at the place where my neck transitions into my thoracic spine at about the point of my trapezius as I pull my head all the way back. Now that I'm all the way back, I'm going to hold this position for 1,001, 1,002, and now I'm going to look up as high as I can up at the ceiling, and I'm going to hold that for 1,001, 1,002, and now I'm going to come back to neutral. I'm going to retract, double, triple chin, hold as far up as my range of motion will allow. So I'm looking at the ceiling, and now I'm going to come back to neutral. When I come back to neutral, I'm not coming back here to this forward position that I'm looking to train my body out of so much as I'm coming back to my good posture position, over-exaggerating backward, over-exaggerating upward, and back to good. So I would hope that anybody can send me a little feedback in the chat box if they got the gist of what I was trying to demonstrate. As I turn away from the camera, I can't see myself, so I'm flying blind in a sense. If anything I just went over was unclear, please do let me know so we can clarify. So we talk about the importance of having a standing desk. We talk about the importance. We talk about the importance of having a good ergonomic chair. We talk about the importance of keeping your body at specific angles and positions so we can stay in good posture in both our lower body and our upper body as we are working away at our desk, and we can minimize the amount of torque and pulling on muscles in an aberrant way. And when we have that excessive pulling, that excessive torque, those poor postural positions, remember, we're sending different feedback into our brain. We're begin to interact with our environment in a different and disadvantageous sort of way. Something else that one of my patients did that I thought was a really good idea was that they hung a do not disturb sign on the room that they're working in. This is a person who lives with their family, who they love very much. They have several pets who they also love very much. Super person, not somebody who's abusive to their family or ignoring them, but still, work is work. I used to be at the office and you couldn't come and bother me there. Now I'm in a spare bedroom. It's critically important that I get this work done. So you got to leave me alone and let me do my job. So they hung a do not disturb sign on the outside of the work door in that room, taking occasional breaks as need be. If the family members wanted to get in touch with this person, they had to call up on the cell phone and pretend that they were actually at the office. I thought that was a good idea to help everybody have their defined space and everybody be able to be as productive as possible. Another important thing that somebody brought up was the light source. You can't do computer desk work in the dark, but you certainly don't want to have your light source bouncing off of the computer screen and into your eyes. You don't want to have the light source shining directly into your face. So we want to have our light source being neutral. Now, part of the excellent job that Phil did in setting up this room, we have a tremendous light source. We have our own private sun in this studio, and in my previous Zoom workshops that we did over the course of the year, I did those. I did those in my office, and I had a flashlight shining at me, so I'd be bright enough to appear on Zoom. This room is illuminated, but as you see, you can't see the actual light on the screen. Question on the board is how to avoid the numbness in hands from typing and the level of the keyboard. Okay, so level of the keyboard, we want to have this 90-degree angle at our 90 degrees from my elbow. I'm resting my elbows on my desk here. They're at 90 degrees, and my fingers are just going to fall naturally onto the keyboard. So I'm 90 degrees, I'm typing like this, and that will give you a gauge as to where the height of the keyboard should be. As far as numbness in the hands and numbness in the fingers, this is something that I would really encourage you to see your chiropractor or a practitioner about, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I'm going to answer that question based on a probability, not based on I've actually examined you and I know what's going on. Now, when I say a probability, this is something that I see several times a week. So it's a pretty educated guess, but it's not a go to the bank. When we type, right, we're essentially making fists. Everything that we do seems to be making a fist. I'm clenching my fingers around the steering wheel. I'm carrying my bag. Where's the camera? I'm carrying my bag. I'm lifting weights. I'm typing. I'm manipulating something like I'm tearing I'm tearing my food apart as I'm snacking on it. We're all making fists. What we don't do is we don't open our fingers against resistance. So we as a culture become very strong to clench, but we're not real strong to extend our fingers and our hands. So I would encourage you to do is to take a rubber band, wrap it around your fingertips as close to the fingernail as possible. The thicker the rubber band, the better. And I'm just going to open up against the resistance. And what that's going to do is it's going to create better balance in the muscles that either clench your fists or open your fists. It's in order to achieve symmetry, a form of posture. And when those muscles become imbalanced, as one group becomes too tight relative to the other, what happens is we get that change of sensation where the action at the fingertips occurs. It might be numbness, tingling. Some people would describe it as hurt. Some say hot, some say cold. It's very difficult to describe a sensation into language. So far, so good. Somebody just said, where do you come up with these great tips? I wish I knew. I can't list off all the sources. I am not a brilliant scholar. I have not created anything. All I am is using information that I've learned from various mentors, other practitioners. Somebody teaches me something great. I'm holding on to it and passing it along to my patients and my fan club. Hopefully they're passing it on to the next person. This is all just knowledge. It's only valuable when shared. I wish I could create some of this stuff. I had that problem, was told to put palms on the wall and slide down the wall and hold, then put back the hands and slide up the wall. Really stretches the muscles. Yeah, that's an excellent point. That's an excellent suggestion that somebody made for you and I. Thank you for sharing that. So if you put your palms against the wall like this, you're splaying your fingers up against the resistance and you're spreading your fingers apart, which is really what I'm getting at. The same principle as with the rubber band to open up against the resistance. The only difference is I'm asking you to work this against the whole range of motion rather than do the isometric contraction of spreading your fingers. But we're absolutely all on the same page. Thank you for mentioning that. All right, so we talked about the light source. We talked about setting up your monitor so it's eye level or above. The next suggestion was, if you can't get a good ergonomic chair, to take a throw pillow and put it between your lower back and the back of the chair to reinforce that support here to help you prop your chest up and throw your shoulders back. That was a pretty good idea. The next suggestion that we came up with was to have a dedicated workspace. This is the spot where you go to work. It's not your bed. It's not the couch in front of your TV. It's the area that you're productive in. Somebody else told me to make sure that you speak at every meeting. If you're on a Zoom presentation, at the very least, say hi and bye. So as we come to the end of this workshop, I'm expecting to see a lot of highs and byes in the chat column. Dress in business attire, dress for success. That if you, there's something fun about working from home and wearing a shirt and tie and a pair of sweatpants that nobody will ever see. So anyhow, that didn't cut it. This person told me that when they were doing this, it didn't feel like work. But when they started dressing at home in their workplace, like they were dressing to be in the office, they felt their productivity go up. They felt their sense of responsibility go up, and they just had a better connection to their work. Somebody else said, use multi-port plugs so you don't find yourself tripping over cable wires. Somebody else told me that they have to stick to a routine and that they have a group of friends, probably all over the country, who they all know at a specific time. They all trade greetings on their text message and take a remote coffee break and enjoy one another's company without actually being in one another's company. And we built upon that to say, take exercise breaks. So what I want to do in my 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 closing remarks here is, first of all, somebody just typed in a closed mullet, and I think they're referring to attire, business on the top and casual on the bottom. I never heard that term. I like it, a closed mullet. We talked about exercises that involved good posture, being long in the torso, throwing your shoulders back to lift your chest, breathing deeply in through your nose, holding the position, and exhaling through your mouths without elevating your shoulders. Keep them thrown back. We very briefly talked about what you can do to retract your head and neck, that I'm retracting along my railroad tracks that are coming out of my chin. And from there, I'm holding and looking up and back to neutral. Now, when you do that exercise, when you retract your head along those railroad tracks, you're not only retraining the posture to keep your head over your shoulders and not forward out here in space, but you're also stretching the fascia of your neck, your shoulders, and your arms. So if you're doing that exercise and you feel a tingling or a sensation or a pulling in your shoulders, in your arms, maybe even all the way down to your forearms, that's not a sign that something's wrong. That's a sign that you have really, really good range of motion. So I'm looking at the clock, and I'm looking at the people who are angrily glaring at me in the door, realizing that my time is drawing to an end, and that very soon Jeffrey Nisnik will speak. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in, whether you participated by sending me a greeting, a compliment, a criticism, a moral outrage, asking for clarification, asking to almost draw me off track for a second. That's all good. I appreciate people being involved. I want to tell you all that at our wellness center in March of last year and in April of last year, things were pretty slow. We spent a lot of time wondering where our patients were and hoping that we were still liked. And I don't think anybody really knew what was going on then. And there was certainly even more fear then than there is now. But we were here the whole time. We practiced through the pandemic. We're practicing now. The building is staffed. The nutrition store is open. Of course, we're being respectful of personal space. We're practicing good hygiene. There have been times when the nutrition store has been so crowded that we've actually asked people to just, could you mind waiting in the waiting room and letting these people finish shopping? And when that group is out, the next group can come in. And we're really good about meeting people where they are and being respectful of our clientele. But the point is that we're here. We're functioning. We're seeing patients. We're doing chiropractic. We're doing nutrition. We're doing muscle therapy. We're being as respectful of social contract protocols as possible. If you feel like you want to come and see us, would love to have you come and join us at the Wellness Center. We are open. We have been this whole time. And I know that there have been a few people who I've been in touch with over the phone and over instant messaging, and who I've communicated a few ideas and some consultation for, and I miss seeing their faces. So we're here. We're appreciative that people are coming in for the sale. We're appreciative that you guys are participating on Zoom. We're appreciative of Dr. Tracy, who made all of the technology presentations possible. We're appreciative of Phil, who set up the technology in this room. The list just goes on and on. But I would be really sorry if people were falling off of our radar screen because they just didn't know that we were open and seeing people. So we want to welcome you all back if you're not here. And as I look through the chat column, I see some messages that have been pretty complimentary and appreciative of the the workshop that we just had. I see quite a few highs. I mentioned participate in all meetings, say hi and bye. I see the ask for clarification of something that we've gone over. So if I missed anything before I'm kicked off, please put it in the chat. Otherwise, I wish everybody be safe and be healthy, and look forward to seeing you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Orbach. That was so informative. And I will tell you that, I got a standing desk after your last presentation. So I do stand up and sit down throughout the day. And I had to laugh about your comment about the sign, because I have one on my door. It says, "Go ask your dad. He lives here too." So yeah, that's my sign.
But see, I know you're saying that in a friendly, bantering, chattering kind of way. But guess what's going to be included when I make this presentation at the next workshop?
A sign on the door telling other employees to stay out.
Exactly. No, I mean, this is wellness and health. It's evolving, it's growing, and we all have you have your knowledge base and I have my knowledge base, and the only way either of us grow is by sharing our ideas with each other. And you say something provocative, and you have such a superior understanding of the biochemistry and the way the nutrition, the comprehensive nutritional protocols. I don't have what you have. So you say things at a presentation, and I'm taking notes, and I'm going to go look that up, and let me see. All right, how can I possibly dummy this down so a way that the neuromusculoskeletal crowd is going to be able to embrace it, as opposed to the biochemical organic crowd? And then I turn around and share your ideas on a simplified level with the people who are complaining about back pain, rather than the people who are just interested in the chemistry. And I hope that, I'm thrilled to hear that you got a standing desk, partially inspired by what I had to say, because that's how we all grow. And I hope that there are people who listened into this presentation who will take 1, 2, even 3 little bullet points and incorporate into their everyday life. And if that happens, I think we can all declare victory.
Amen. So, absolutely. Health is simple, and it takes a village. It takes a village.
Correct.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff Nisnik is up next. So we're going to bump off, and we'll see Jeff in a little bit. Thank you, Dr. Orbach.
Thank you.
All right, guys, stay tuned. Our next presenter is